Welcome to Gray Overload. I'm Anthony, and let's talk a little bit about AMD today. AMD had their financial analysis day, and they went through a lot of different items. They went for, they talked about Zen 4, which is coming out later this year. They mentioned a little bit about Zen 5, the next gen, Threadrippers, server CPUs, their whole lineup there between, multiple different types of products that they are now filling out their portfolio for to kind of really target areas. RDNA 3, RDNA 4, and CDNA, the next generation there with CDNA APUs. They're really starting to hit and get things done here more recently. I know they've had a little lull here where they haven't had, they just had their 3D stacked Zen 3 CPU, the 5800 X3D, come out, and really that was about it for a long time. Now with Zen 4, it kind of seems like they're getting their legs back underneath them, and they're going to hopefully hit their stride. One thing I like to see is a lot more products being released, on a regular cadence from a company. I like that predictability. One, it puts you to, if you're looking at an enterprise scenario, something I can rely on of when a next generation is going to be out, so I know kind of what I'm looking at if I'm going to be upgrading, etc. And then two, another reason why I like it is that it gives you, the consumer and even the investor an idea of, okay, this is when we can see some performance gains, and let's be able to see and maybe plan a build around it, plan investing around it, and that can be our next generation product or next build, or unless your computer dies, and maybe you run your computer until it dies. I happen to run it for a while, and then I build another system, and then I give that to somebody else. That's kind of how I do it. But unless you're just going until it dies, you kind of want to make sure that you're maybe building around a build cycle or something like that. Or if you're just getting into computers, you're going to start right away. But let's say you want to upgrade just one product or two items in your system. This is the way to kind of do it. And if AMD, as they leak more and more details about, hey, Zen 4 is going to be this fast now. So it seems like that they weren't really committing to Computex of how fast Zen 4 was going to be. And now that they're kind of like, oh yeah, it's going to be this fast, which is a little bit more faster. These are the clock speeds. So they're moving in the right direction. And another thing is that when we are looking at like the enterprise scenario or these bigger computer workstations, having that Threadripper is a big deal. I know I have Threadripper now, but I think I'm going to go back to the mainstream desktop platform. I like to see more cores there. However, with AMD, well, I hope they get there. But on the Threadripper side, I know I don't need that much RAM, but I know many different scenarios where a lot of RAM, a higher core count CPU on a desk would be awesome, and a lot of people want that. So we'll see how, if AMD is going to hit their stride with there, and hopefully Intel can provide enough pressure to keep AMD innovating and prices down. I'm not holding my breath on either of those two, but I do want to see that pressure. I do want to see those prices cheaper, because as somebody that buys computers and builds them and everything else, I don't like to be spending my money out on something that could be a little bit cheaper if there was just a little bit of competition. Now, I do have some questions for AMD. I want to see where their low end is coming in, what they're going to be doing for that low end, for that entry level, so as people are getting in. It's great to have high-low and premium products, but you also have to fill in that low end. Otherwise, your competitor is easier to come in and sweep up that low end and take that volume away from you as well. I'm also interested to see what these 3D stack chips kind of will come to, because Zen 4 is not a 3D stack chip at this point with that with 3D stacking on it. It sounds like that there will be a step in between of Zen 4 having 3D stack here in the future before Zen 5 comes out. And then with the graphics lineup, how is that going to progress, and that able to attack, in NVIDIA, and if Intel ever gets into the market and actually releases something, how are they going to be able to attack those two fronts? Because I like to see three healthy competitors. I can't wait to see. I've been thinking about NVIDIA and what they might do on a ARM CPU. That could be really exciting. I got some really interesting stuff that I think could happen there. But I'm trying to focus more on AMD because they had just had their investor day. Then you got the server side stuff, right? And AMD going through and widening out their portfolio has been huge, because AMD has been like here getting and entering into the market, kind of tiptoeing into it slowly but surely. But now it seems like they're going to really widen their breadth to be able to see what more items they can take in that market, kind of doing more products that are geared to certain industries to make it so that the companies actually look at them instead of just going with Intel. And I think that's your stepping stones to be able to get into more products, get into more industries, and really help take back a market that Intel has basically coveted forever, right? Intel has been able to covet this market forever. I'm also interested going forward to see where their accelerators go and how they add different accelerators, FPGAs, etc. to their chips, whether it be graphics or CPU side. And then I didn't say this, but I do hope that they have a bigger APU for at least entry-level gaming or something like that. I think that would be a next logical step. Could be really fun to see, because these Zen 4 chips will have a little GPU RDNA 2 on them, and that's basically for diagnostic work, just in case, you know, if your graphics card dies, you can still use your computer, more display, stuff like that. But to really have it see what AMD is doing is that they're finally entering and getting to a parity level with Intel with some of the features that makes it interesting, right? So many people don't need, and especially in the last 2 years where we couldn't buy a graphics card, if AMD had a graphics card on their chips, I think a lot of people might have looked at AMD for that chip rather than Intel, right? A lot of time is like, well, I just need something to work right now. I'll grab an Intel chip, and at least I'll have display out until I can eventually buy a graphics card for a reasonable price. And when your company, and maybe at first AMD think that this wouldn't be an issue, except we ran into it, right? And now that they've seen the issue, they probably already had the roadmap, but now they're addressing it. And it's one thing less that your competitor can say, we have and you don't have. And that's where you need to get to. And I really hope that Intel evolves and keeps the pressure on AMD, and vice versa, right? Competition in this market, especially for the gamer, is crucial, because we want to have better products every generation. We want to play our games smoother, better every single time. And hopefully AMD continues to work on, you know, other issues they have in the software stack to make sure that they are providing the best product for consumers. You could go through and talk about this between Intel and NVIDIA as well, but being focused on AMD, there are certain things that are said on some of my other videos that AMD does need to address, right? And maybe if that's maybe scaling back or changing their driver a little bit or something else to be able to get something more rock solid, should be something that's on the table for these scenarios. But I'll leave it there, but let me know what your thoughts are on the whole AMD stack that's coming out. I'm pretty excited. I think this will put a lot of pressure on Intel. I'm just hoping that Intel can hit their release dates within a release window that's somewhat reasonable. I do expect their 13 gen to compete with Zen 4. I don't know on what level. I expect it to compete. Now, if it gets delayed too much and doesn't come out in volume before AMD, I am a little concerned. But on how it will compete, right now, if they're close and AMD comes out first, AMD might take that first swoop in that sale of products. But it is an interesting time here in the tech world of with releases here, and this second half of the year could be really exciting. So get ready, and hopefully if you're looking to build a new system, you're going to be able to choose a product that addresses your needs for what you want to accomplish. So with that, thank you all for watching. Leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on AMD releases. Heck, if you have a comment about Intel, where they might be, let me know. And I will say this, I Got my bathroom mostly done, so it's operational for the most part, and that means I don't know if I'll be able to do it this week. I have some guests in town, but I do plan on starting to kick out 2 videos and getting some of those reviews done for you that I did promise. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.